Hello style crew, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be making this top. This isn't really a tutorial, it's more of a construction on how I made this. So it can be worn on the shoulder, off the shoulder, and I love it. So let's get started. We're going to start off with a weight 3 yarn, 4.25 millimeter hook, needle and thread to match your project, some scissors, and some chiffon. I bought 1 yard of this chiffon material for this project. Alright, so we're going to start off with our basic slip knot, and we're just making a bandeau top. So we're going to start off again with our slip knot, insert our hook, and I chained 83 from my side. Alright, now that we have our chain, we're going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, and we're going to work our double crochet all the way down, and that's how we're going to continue to go back and forth and make this basic bandeau top like you've seen us make before in my previous tutorials. Alright, so now we're coming up on our last 2 stitches, and we're going to insert and do a regular double crochet into our second to last stitch, and then we are going to pull apart the very last piece, insert our hook in there, and place our last double crochet. And after this double crochet, we are going to chain up 2, turn our work, place our first double crochet in the 2nd stitch, not the 1st that the chain is coming out of, and work this all the way down. This is after 26 rows. So now I am going to flip my work to the side, chain 2, and start placing double crochets in the spaces to make my side panels to wrap around the back of my top. So I did 10 rows to cover both of my sides, so 10 rows back and forth on the left, fastened off, attached to the right side, and did the same 10 rows. So as you can see, I am placing the double crochet in, spread out in the spaces, because when they're really tight together it bunches up and I don't really like that look. So I try to spread them out as best as I can, and if I make them too close, like you're gonna see me do, I look at it, I evaluate it, and I remove it, place it over, and then just shuffle it along. And that's how I do it. So I did 37 on the side, and this is me showing you after my 10 rows what I did to close off the back. In this clip you only see 1 row, and that is because I made a mistake and I went back and I fixed it. So I chained 5. We're going to skip 3 spaces, and in the 4th space we're going to place a double crochet. Then we're going to chain 3, skip 3 spaces, in the 4th place a double crochet, and chain 3 again, skip 3, and continue this pattern down. And then when we get down to the bottom, we're going to chain 1 and place single crochets along the top row. So this is me coming up on the end. I didn't have enough, so I just chained the amount that I had left and placed my last double crochet right there. Here we are, chaining 1, turning our work, and placing the amount of single crochets in that space. So we're going to put 2 there, And then we're going to put a single crochet in the top of the double crochet. Then we're going to place 3 in there, the amount of chains that's hooking it together. And then we're going to place 1 in the top of the double crochet, so on and so forth. And that is how we are going to close our back. So I counted 16 stitches over, but when I wore this top, I realized that I could have went over a little bit more. So I would say add 8 or 9, make it 24 spaces over, 25 spaces over, just so you have a little bit more room to move around your arm. So the next time I make this top, I'm going to move over the space, because you have to account for the top stretching and covering your back, and I didn't. So this is me attaching it. I'm showing you how I'm making my straps. I'm attaching to the wrong side. This is what I'm doing, pulling through, pulling it all the way down, and then I'm going to chain 2. I got a new phone, y'all, and a bomb camera. Can you tell? Ooh. So now we're going to place a double crochet in the next space, and then another double crochet in that space. That's how much we're going to do. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn it, and we're going to go back and forth. So in the top of the next double crochet, and then right in that chain 2 space. And that's how you end the bandeau sides too. That's how you end any side when I do this. I always start in the second and always put it in the chain 2 space. So I worked 45 rows for my straps, and I attached to the back. I lost footage of me attaching to the back, so if you go to my monokini video, it shows you the same exact way of how I attached my straps. Same format. So now for the arms, this is where we're going to be using the fabric. I measured my wrist, and I also measured where my armpit and my arm intersect, that area, and I got 16. So I measured 18, gave myself 2 inches for seam allowance. I measured 18 by 25. And you can also do 17 by 25. That extra inch was fabric I cut off anyways. So 17 by 25, 18 by 25. It all works the same. So I cut a square that measured that long. I cut 2 squares that measured that long. And that is how I did my sleeve. I did a very, very basic, simple sleeve because this was the first time I was doing it. So I also was trialing and erroring. Just made that up and it didn't even sound right, but we're gonna go with it. So here I am cutting the fabric, and I must say it was quite difficult. So what I did was also light the edges with a lighter, fray the edges or burn the edges so they wouldn't fray. So I'm showing you how I did the base stitch for the gathers. So all I did was using the holes at the bottom of the chiffon. Luckily it had this. I went in and out every other hole. And even if you don't have the holes, it's the same concept. Go in and out. The needle kind of makes it a straight line for you. So you just go in and out and gather. You can pull through as you go, but I found that gathering them all together in bunches and pulling through near the end worked for me, and I like that one better. So this is again called like this. So this is again called the base stitch, and you can look it up if you want an in-depth tutorial on how to do it. But this is what I use to again gather the arms so that I could have a smaller opening. So this is how it works. You will fasten off a piece of the end, but this is how the gathers work, just like that. And so after you have sewed everything together and you just pull on that, it gathers so beautifully, and I like it so much. But I think the next time I do this, I'm going to add elastic and just make it easier for this process. So right now I'm showing you what to do after you base stitch on both ends. You're going to fold it in half and sew across. So this is one side done. And now we're going to get into the other side. So the reason why this is really a construction is because this whole process was, again, difficult. So it's not all that beginner friendly, but if you watch it and you are really good at visuals, you can see what I'm doing in this, because I'm showing you all that I'm doing. So what you want to do is make sure you turn your sleeve inside out after you've sewn across the edge. Same base stitch. I use the same base stitch to do this whole project because it seemed like that's the way that the sewing was going for me. So I'm flipping the sleeve inside out. Look at that. Beautiful. And now we are going to find the side that we want to insert into our strap opening / hole. So I'm going to slightly gather the end that we're about to secure into the hole before we sew, because we want to ensure that it fits within the hole. So you see me just a very slight gather. I'm not pulling it too much. It's very slight so that it can fit in, because it's kind of the size but also not. So you see me playing around with it, trying to gauge the right size, pulling it apart and seeing which fits. So now we want to match up this bottom piece with the bottom edge of the base of the top, so that when you lift up your armpits, that's where your seam is, under your arm. So now we want to secure the sleeves to the top. And as I was doing this, I was making sure that I was using the straps to cover the white thread that we sewed on, so that when we flip it over, we won't see the white thread as much. So I'm just using the extra needles that came in my sewing kit to pin this arm together. Again, I am trying to ensure that I am covering that white thread with my straps. Here we are getting ready to sew. So I threaded my needle, and I am again using the base stitch, but I want to make sure that I am sewing. This is so that when the sleeve is turned over, it is covering the strap, and you'll see that at the end when we finish the sleeve. So I'm going to use the base stitch going in and out, making sure I'm on the outer edge on the right side of the fabric, and that is how we are going to sew this bad boy up. So here we are all sewed up, and now I am just finishing off and fastening off. There's a lot of strings everywhere. There's a lot of cleaning up that needs to be done, a lot of fabric that needs to be cut out of the inner part of the top. This was a project indeed, but a beautiful one, and I enjoyed making it, so I can't wait to make many more. But this is how I ended it, and we're just gonna keep going. As you can see what it looks like when it's flipped over, and that's why we do it. So this is our top almost done. This is the bottom portion where your wrist goes. So this is where I gathered. The next time I make this, I'm going to use elastic and add a cuff to it, add a crochet cuff to it. But for the first time, I just did a gather stitch, or the gather, and pulled it together, played with it, put my hand inside, measured it, and then made a knot kind of loose so that I'd have still some movement. This was actually kind of hard to do as well, but I messed with it and I got it to how I wanted it to be. Alright, style crew, you already know the drill. So you're going to make a chain long enough to weave back and forth. Chain of 200, 250, you already know. So this is our top done. We have to tuck in our tails, of course, cut off the excess. But this is our top with fabric sleeves. I love it so much. Do you love it? Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. And here's some more views on me. If you guys like what you see, please subscribe to my channel for more videos. And we are almost at 1,000 subscribers, style crew. I am so excited. Please share this video in all your groups and let me know if you guys make it. Share some pictures with me. I'd love to see it. Until the next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.